Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon. It's very exciting to be here. I know some of the faces here. Very nice to see. By the way, that is Cedric, who is also with me, joining today from Anchanto. Um, I think the way this whole session will be conducted is, of course, this is a learning session. This is a sharing session, wherein I would like to discuss some of the points very specific to the operational challenges in terms of the omnichannel retail, as well as also learn and understand more from the group. So it's very open discussion. Feel free to jump in as and when you have a point to make. And we learn from each other. Um, what I will do is I'll quickly take you through a quick introduction to Enchanto. I'll not bore you a lot, but very quickly, and then we will straight up jump into the discussion point. Just give me a second, and I will share my screen. Great. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Wonderful. Great. So what I'm going to do, as I mentioned, I'll take you through a quick history of Enchanto, what products we have, and then we will directly jump into the discussion. As Enchanto, we believe that the industry leaders are currently reinventing the e-commerce operations through various different technologies. Um, uh, we as a company, we believe in digital transformation and believe in technology. Uh, However, technology and operations goes hand in hand, and they have to always have to meet in the middle to make sure that you get the desired output. This is just a quick glimpse of some of our customers who are in different categories, who are basically either brands or 3PLs, or big distributors. We as a company are also invested by quite a good and strong VCs and corporates. Our recent funding round came in August this year. As a company, we started with four of us initially, and then we also have the team, the next level management team, who takes care of different responsibilities. So it's not only me. I think Jonathan gave a lot of details, but yeah, the team who does a lot of stuff and make sure that we as a company move forward. Some of the team members, we also have presence in Philippines. So Kyle, Cedric, you will be able to meet them today during the sessions. Romel, Aditya. So I think some of you also know a couple of these guys as well. Uh, yep. So as a quick introduction to some of our investors, Ascendia is again a joint venture between La Poste and Swiss Post. Luxatia is again a big distributor. Transcosmos is from Japan, and MDI is basically a venture arm of Telcom Indonesia. So they are our largest investors on board. As I mentioned, we founded and headquartered in Singapore in 2011. Recently raised in August this year, Series C, continuation of Series C, raised up to $16.6 million. And this is basically to make sure that we expand in terms of our scope in technology, and make sure that we offer a lot more exciting and enchanting products and offerings and functionalities. Currently, we have presence in 8 countries, and with the recent insertion, we are going to expand in new geographies as well. Very recently, just a quick updates on 1111 on our platform. Our customers processed around 2.1 million orders on one single day. That was like close to 6.35 million units that were sold and managed through our platform. As a team across 8 countries, we are close to around 125 plus, out of which 60% is focused in product and engineering, as we focus more into technology. Um, the ecosystem, that's where Enchanto comes into picture, and how it connects and interfaces with multiple systems. Um, as a company, we see that when you are into e-commerce, or you're into retail, or into omnichannel space, there are multiple systems that comes into picture, and you may want to have interfaces around all these systems so that you get a single visibility, a very clear understanding of your business. So typically the brands, the consultancy firms or marketing agencies who typically manage your listings, cataloging, etc. ERP systems, the marketplace, that is online channels like Lazada, Shopee, etc. Shipping carriers, who basically take care of all the deliveries, so that you have a seamless visibility across all your orders. Um, uh, as well as retail stores, which is again becoming a lot more hot topic in these days, during the COVID, to talk about, and this is something which we will also touch upon. E-commerce enablers, who typically helps brands to basically get into e-commerce, or transition into e-commerce, managing probably their online channels or also the operations, right? Social commerce is again a very important role it plays in the complete ecosystem uh, for some of the big markets. Essentially, I would say Philippines and Indonesia are some of the big markets for social e-commerce, even Thailand. So this again, social e-commerce marketplaces, store builders like Shopify, Magento, etc., and typically some of the content agencies. So we, as a company, as a at very high level, two softwares that we have, Cellular and Vario. Some of you are aware of these products. So we have been in discussions. Cellular is like an auto management system. It sits as a middleware between your sales channels and your backend systems. And initially, we started with very focused on the e-commerce or the online channels, but now we have also started connecting the retail stores. So to give a complete omni-channel experience, yeah, it helps you to manage your listings, your orders, inventories, some certain promotions as well, and interfaces also with your ERP systems or SAP, and as well as your last mile carriers. Vario is a pure logistics and WMS platform. It has a full suite of B2B and B2C, both the processes in the system. So you don't have to look for different systems to manage B2B processes and B2B or B2C processes, right? So, and this is something which plays a very crucial role when you're looking for omni-channel type of business model. Vario, again, it comes with mobile applications to process all your operations in the warehouse, with all different flows. Very quickly, as I already touched upon, Cellular, which is an OMS, can also be worked as a PIM, data access management, product information management. It's a complete inventory synchronization and visibility across different channels. And
Hello, Mr. Abby.
different or multiple distributors who wants to have a single visibility. So it helps them to give that one single visibility across the channels. Um, and as I mentioned, WMS is very focused on the multi-warehouse functionality for B2B and B2C processes. Some of our global strategic partners, they again range from various different segments, carriers to 3PLs to marketplace channels. Some of these are also very specific enablers as well. I think coming down to the topic and kind of opening uh, on the frontiers of new retail, and basically we will also now start getting into very focused on our discussion points. Um, as So typically, as you see, like the retail as the e-commerce, and all of us knows that as the e-commerce started uh, making a lot of sense and becoming a very core business model for a lot of businesses, um, we have started seeing a dip in the we started seeing dip in the retail side as well, right? And of course, less traffic, the footfall at your retail stores. To some extent, it was also compensated by having some of the big malls, which typically offer some adventure activities or movie theaters, etc. So that as well as food joints, which typically enables a lot more footfall. But this has been a slow reaction to it, and with the e-commerce coming into picture and the demand basically multiplying and becoming a new normal, very specific into the uh, into the current pandemic situation as well. Lot of businesses are also looking now into B2C. Some of those are very specific to B2B, but now wants to diversify into B2C, right? So, of course, as a retail business or someone who is managing the offline for many years, it becomes very difficult to basically suddenly jump into and start offering the e-commerce or into the e-commerce space, right? Or moving into that.
Abhi, if I may share,
Yes, it is. Yes, sure.
yes, um, based on the conversations that I've had with some of the prospects and some of our existing clients now, they mentioned that they were really forced to go online because of the uncertainty if offline stores will be made available moving forward, and some of them decided to stop some of their retail operations, which are performing really low, and decided to push their online sales, and they're starting to get that presence, and they're also starting to get that traction that they're looking for.
Yeah, that's right. So typically, I mean, in my experience, what I have seen is someone who is into core retail and they want to move into B2C becomes a bit of challenging one in terms of understanding, like, how do you move into e-commerce? What exactly is required for you in terms of the processes, in terms of the technology, in terms of the of course the SOPs and data points that you need to take care of, and of course what kind of systems you typically need. It becomes a bit challenging for someone who has not tried it before, and then during maybe like similar to the pandemic situations, if they want to, or they are forced, like how Satik mentioned, they are forced into moving their direction into e-commerce space, into the online space. It becomes a bit difficult and challenging. uh, I think in my experience, what I have seen is typically more specifically in terms of the omni-channel, because I believe uh, the businesses, they do not want to also go away with the heavy investments that they have done in the retail, in the offline basis. Of course, we will be back to new normal, where things will be again standard in some time. But then you definitely do not want to also lose out on your presence there, wherein you are still visible to the consumers, and as well have a visibility on the online channels, and basically have to play between online and offline to typically make sure that you have a footfall at your offline stores, as well as have a footfall or visitors rather in the e-commerce language on your online channels. So typically, what I see is the way overall how it looks like. Sorry, Salusolar and Vario is very specific to show you the how it could work. But if I may share, so typically you have your online channels and also an offline channel. The online channels could be your own brand.com as well as the marketplace channels, but then the retail stores. And basically while you're transitioning into the omni-channel space, what you typically look for very, very high level and very specific functionalities are the click and collect and also the deliver from store. Right. So when I say so, typically what you would see is your retail stores are also transitioning as a fulfillment center or as a warehouse. But yeah, any thoughts around this? If you have attempted to kind of transition your retail store into a fulfillment center, for example, or enabling uh, click and collect type of functionalities or delivering from store, uh, anything of that sort, if you have attempted and your experience or learnings from it. Any further thoughts? Um,
Yeah, sorry, this is Ren Sapanta from Amber. Just I have a question regarding inventory return. So, what's the industry average right now for online returns? Thank you.
Okay, so it varies. It varies from category to category. Now, in case of online, some of the categories are something which uh, you as a brand or the online channels like the marketplaces, they do not allow any returns. So, for example, if it is very very specific to the products which you consume or which you for example your undergarments. So those are some of the categories which typically are not allowed to be returned. Some of
Yeah,
the
for
right.
consumer goods, what's the industry average right now?
Sorry, what is that?
For consumer goods, what's the industry average right now for online returns?
So for consumer goods, I think I have seen anywhere between 8 to 12% of the online returns. That's where I have seen. I mean, across different customers in different countries.
Thank you.
Now, what also is important is how you manage returns. Typically, in some cases, I have seen some of the customers are offering an exchange. So returns could be, let's say, this is not my color, or this is not what I thought it would taste like, or whatever, right? So in that case, you also have to make sure that you basically allows only very very specific products to be returned. You shouldn't end up spending more in terms of the shipping cost while basically getting the product returned, right? So some of these also elements play a vital role there. Otherwise, for example, let's say if you have a product which is 200 pesos, and then you enable return for it, you typically spend maybe 20-25 pesos for the shipping cost for pickup and say collection and return at your warehouse or at your store. That reduces your margin. So you also have to at times take a call in terms of when and for what type of basket size you can allow returns. This is something which I have seen varying from customer to customer as well. So, Ren, is it something that you are like facing any challenges with returns, or
No,
is it?
no, I don't have any challenges with returns right now. Just wanna get to know the industry average. So my returns right now is like less than 1%, and it's not that much actually. That's point
Okay,
zero three
which is
something.
nice, which is very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And what did you say is the sorry? There are times when your audio, Abby, is a little bit bad or garbled. So what did you say was the industry standard in terms of returns?
Yeah, so I mean, I won't say this is industry standard, but this is more from what I have seen with our customers, is it ranges anywhere between 8% to 12%. Very specific to the customers that I have seen operating in different countries.
Uh-huh. And I heard you say that in some of the companies that you work with, that they actually put like a threshold also on what can be returned. Is that what you just
Yes.
said? Yeah.
Yes, yes, that's right. So, I mean, if you see overall from the volume perspective, of course, it will be less. But from whichever category or whichever type of products or whatever the business rule that they select, based on that is something that I have seen. But if I take as a whole volume for them, it would be definitely less. Any any challenges that you have seen, or any learnings, or maybe some best practices if anyone wants to share, in terms of the warehousing operations, that you may have set up, for example, to accommodate uh, both B2B and B2C, or while you are transitioning into omni-channel side.
Hi, Abia. This is Kat from SSI Group.
Yes, Kat, hi.
Okay. So based on the diagram that you've shown, for our group, we are trying to integrate on the B2C, B2B, and click and collect. Um, there are some challenges in terms of click and collect for our retail stores in terms of connectivity. As you know, in the Philippines, that is one major problem. Our fast internet requirements for us to be able to have that click and collect, and also the seller and Wareo system to be working hand in hand. Um, Currently, our challenges that we are facing, as what Ms. Vilma mentioned earlier, is the out of stock OOS. Wherein even if we have dedicated stocks for our retail store and also warehouse, our challenge in out of stock is still there. We have dedicated stocks, and some of our brands is also shared inventory, so the chances of our out of stock for shared inventory is much higher than those that has a dedicated stock. Now, with this out of stock and our integration, as you've mentioned, the pause, how we will transact it, how it will be accurate the moment customer returns an item. Our challenge is different systems. Like we are using Oreo, we are using Seller, we're using other platforms that will be able to integrate. Would you recommend using just one overall system for the omni-channel?
Okay, so when you say one overall system, is it like managing your POS and
Yes.
operations, everything? Okay, so what I will suggest is, if you use one single system, again, in my view, if you use one single system, that one individual system becomes heavy in terms of making sure that all the functionalities are taken care of. You also have one, basically, if something goes wrong, then everything will mess up. So all your other functions or functionalities will get impacted, right? So typically, I mean, in my view, I will say at least not a lot of systems, but not also one single system which will help you to basically manage everything end to end. So when I say end to end, is your uh, your procurement processes, your warehousing processes, your inbounding, your picking, packing, dispatch, your catalog management, your POS management, your brand.com management. So all of this, one, I think so far I have not seen any one single system which gives this whole scope of functionalities. But having said that, I will suggest that you break down your activities, and that's why we have like OMS and WMS broken down into two, so that you focus on one particular segment at a point, or at any given time, so
Got
that
it.
if you have a point of failure, you can very easily detect it, and it doesn't impact your other ecosystem applications or systems, for example.
Yeah, the main concern is the integration and the syncing if we are using different systems. Yes, we are using WMS, OMS, and sometimes different supplier or service provider. But because of those two different systems, the syncing is a main pain currently with our orders, as we are seeing orders not being uploaded to another system. So that's our main concern.
Got it. Okay, understand. So I think what also needs to be checked here is, again, of course, integration solves a lot of things, but also when we typically set up the integrations, at times we also have to take care of certain limitations in terms of both side systems, if there are any. Like for example, in certain cases, you cannot allow a push information. So let's say an order is created, it cannot get pushed. You have to poll it. So if you have to poll it, means it puts an additional load on the servers on your side where you are polling it. You cannot poll it every second, because one, it will load the server on the other side. So you have to have, uh, I mean, as again, and this is something which needs to be looked at as the volume goes up, because typically if you have, let's say, anywhere between, say, 50 to 100 orders, let's say, per hour, it may still work at certain point in time where you are polling the orders, let's say, every 10 minutes, for example. But let's say when you scale up and you have, let's say, 1,000 orders per hour, then it needs a very different way of doing that integration. So I think as the volume grows, of course you cannot be checking it every time, so you have to have certain buffer and x times volume understood for that. So if you're focusing at 100, possibly you will actually make sure that the integration works up to 300, right? So something like that, so that only after 300 you have to look into the integration. But yeah, I think these are few things which are very important to look at, because all the systems Shopee, all of them work bit differently. Some of them allow you some restrictions. Some of them allow you to push. Some of them allow you to fetch. So these integrations are also needs to be looked at, and accordingly, based on the volume, as you see, you'll have to change the way this integration works as well.
Okay, thanks, Abby.
So yeah, I think also it is definitely important for now. Of course, when I think Kat's point was also valid in terms of having the systems, they also synchronize with each other, and then uh, considering again the telecom infrastructure, or probably the way it links up in different parts of the geography. At times you also have to kind of configure the system in such a way so that you also have certain buffer, be it in terms of the inventory or be it in terms of the order processing. I mean, uh, at times, if let's say you receive 1,000 orders in one go on a particular day, let's say on 11/11, and then you want to process those orders in one day, it is possible that you have these orders being fulfilled from 5 different locations, and probably one of the locations is not able to process it. So I think at times we also have to look into these challenges. um, I think some other challenges or situations that I have seen is delivering to a remote locations as well, where sorry where typically some very specific carriers only will allow delivering to those remote locations. So at that point in time, also taking into consideration the delivery time, because what happens is at times if you have set up an expectation of delivery in 3 days, and then if this whole delivery from a particular location to the remote location itself takes, let's say, 5 days, then it also impacts your impression and of course ratings and reviews, etc., with the buyer. I think that is also very important at times, which needs to be taken care uh, when you are basically um, when you are basically allowing, let's say, shipping into different parts of the region, of the geography, or of the country. Sorry. I also wanted to kind of discuss on few of the questions which I thought will be quite exciting for us to know about. Basically, is how, if any one of you have tried to kind of leverage onto the omni-channel, and then what kind of strategy that you had adopted. Of course, it sometimes can be very, very confidential with some of the processes and the way you approach the whole thing. However, some of these strategies are very, very, some of the strategies are standard, like you allow click and collect or you allow deliver from store. What matters is, what I have seen is how you manage your complete operations and the SOPs, and the sequence of activities that you go through when processing or basically enabling all these different systems. So any thoughts around the omni-channel strategy, or typically the challenges that you may have seen in managing the same warehouse for B2B and B2C operations?
Yes, Mr. Kashikar, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we receive chat message from Miss Mylene Casironi, the head of e-commerce. Head of e-commerce from SM Retail. So the question is, have you seen her question? So this is Mylene
Okay.
from Hardware Philippines. My audio is and I have a question. Does Anchanto offer an intelligent stock allocation to avoid overselling? Example, if we have three sales channels and only one has one inventory pool, can it do an automated allocation per channel based on how many SQS it sells on those said platforms?
Okay, yeah. Thanks, Jonathan, for reading that out. Yeah. So honestly, this is something. Of course, we do have up to certain level of intelligence at this point in time, and that is where in certain cases we have some configurations which we expect our customers to follow. Having said that, we are also heavily investing in some machine learning and AI functionalities to ensure that we make a lot of insights and make sure that the stock allocation also works very, very fluently. I'll give you one example. What we are working on is so one such situation where, let's say, I'm selling on, say, Lazada, Shopee, and Zalora, for example, and on my own brand.com store. So on these four channels, if I have being purchased on these different channels by, yeah. So let's say I reach a certain threshold of, say, 5 units, right? At this point in time, what should I do? Where should I have my inventory to be listed? Now, this is something which we are also working on currently, wherein based on the trend that we see, where the product is being sold the maximum, the system itself will allow that automated allocation, that once you have reached this threshold of 5 units, these 5 units will not be visible on three channels, but looking at the trend, it will only be visible on, say, your brand.com store, right? So there are few more functionalities that we are working on currently in order to make sure that this stock allocation works much more smoother, because this is something which we have seen. I mean, I remember the days when we used to do channel management activities for way back in 2015, 16, 17, for L'Oreal and 3M and or base or SLR. So we used to face this challenge as well in terms of how we can manage the inventory. So we used to pull out some reports and see that, okay, this particular product works into this category and only during this particular sale period, for example, right? So some of these products also have a trend in terms of a particular online channel as well. So something which, let's say, works on Lazada during August, September may not work in October, November on Lazada, but on Shopee, for example, right? So this is something which we are, because this is a learning that we have inherited from we doing the channel management activities. Of course, we don't do it anymore, but this is something which now we are basically managing it and putting it into action on the system side and bringing that machine learning capability. Again, like some of the order routing techniques that we are currently working on to make sure that the order gets routed to the right location. Of course, there will be some business rules that helps users to manage the order routing. But yeah, so some of these again comes from the machine learning capabilities. Listing of the product, for example, also is something that we are heavily investing in machine learning there, so that it becomes very easy to list a product from one channel to other channel. Today it is there to some extent, but it can be improvised. It can be made very smooth, um, where it becomes like only a single click button to list the product from one channel to other. So sorry, I just added a few more, but yeah, Mylene, to answer your question, um, today to some extent we have the intelligence in the system, but this is something, since we are again a technology company, we want to make sure that we give that enchanting experience to our customers. We are working on multiple functionalities to bring in and lot more intelligence in the system.
Okay, so is there any question, guys? So before we ask Mr. Kashikar to wrap up everything, do you have any questions or concerns? So I think everyone is good now. So yeah, Mr. Kashikar.
Yeah, Jonathan. Yeah, I think yeah. Thank you, thank you for being here. Um, of course, it's a bit difficult when you're doing things online. I'm sorry if there was I mean, there was some connectivity issues. Sorry for that. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any further questions, any challenges that you're facing. Wanted this to be a more interactive session for sure. We'll be happy to learn and understand from every one of you. Of course, I'm no expert in this, while all of you are very much seasoned in this. So all your any further questions, anything you want to know? Um, yeah, happy to discuss offline as well. We can take some discussions offline too. Yeah, I think I have offline chats as well.
Okay. So are you good now, Mr.
Jonathan?
Kashikar? Mhm. Okay, so there's so yeah, so there's so thank you so much, Mr. Abhimanyu Kashikar, for leading this discussion, and also I would like to thank you to all attendees that we have in this time. So I hope you had a fruitful conversation. So as we continue to learn, please proceed to the plenary session link that I have sent a while ago in this chat group. So you can proceed there for our plenary session. Okay, so there, thank you so much, guys, and I hope to see you again virtually for our next virtual meeting. Okay, again, thank you so much, guys.